So AFC, available fault current and short circuit.
Hey everybody. So today is Thursday. It's code question of the day, and my buddy Kyle is getting on a plane. I just wanted to at least go live, let everybody know that what was going on. But last minute is my mistake. I forgot to put him on the calendar. But that's okay, because I just at least wanted to go and make sure that we did go live. Did tell everybody we were going to do that. Hopefully you got your cup of coffee. I just made mine. But in any case, code question of the day is a partnership between NECA or EATON is sponsoring code question of the day. I wanted to at least let you all know how to find it, where to find it, how to get a hold of it, how to submit questions and things like that. So what I will do is, let me do this. I gotta get this picture. I hope everybody's having a great day today. I hope that you all have your thinking caps on when it comes to the National Electrical Code installation requirements and all that jazz. So if we go to cam 1 and 2 and monitor, let's try that. Hey, that's not too bad. We can deal with that, right? We can just turn that one off, and we can turn that one off, and there we go. All right, so if you, what I wanted to do is take this moment to just show you how to navigate and get to the NECA code question of the day. All I'm doing is, actually, let's go to necanet.org, and you'll see that they have, let me close that right there. I don't know, yep, you're not seeing it, but in any case, so from the NECA homepage, you'll see where they have codes and standards, government affairs, labor relations. So if I click on codes and standards, we get out to NECA codes and standards. You can read up to the code, NECA education, NEIS, that's the National Electrical Installation Safety Standards. So the NEIS is a great series of documents that deals and focuses primarily with how to get work done in a neat and workmanship-like manner. There's Krueger and crew. The code question of the day is NECA's Electrical Contractor Magazine's flagship. If we click there, it takes you straight to NECA's code question of the day. And you'll see where they, so here's basically how they function, how this website functions. You send an email in with the question, and you'll watch this, right? And what you'll typically see up here is you'll see the question for the code question in red for the 22nd. Now today is the 22nd, so this is the question that has come in for today. Not that it was sent in today, but it was scheduled for today. So that's the question that will be answered tomorrow. And then below that, you'll see the actual question that is being reviewed today. So the question for today is, if a rigid metal conduit enters a service enclosure using double lock nuts, is a bonding bushing still required? And then they'll have the answer. Good morning, Joseph. Bonding lock nuts or other material or another method compliant with 25092B would need to be installed to effectively bond the components. So, and then it gives you the code references. You go back to those code references, and you can take a look at the requirement with the perspective of the question and with perspective of the answer that is provided. Now, what Kyle and I are doing is we're working to make sure that we give a little bit more depth to the question, if that makes sense. So depth of knowledge is going to be very important when we think about these questions and answers. So what Kyle and I are doing is basically taking some questions or a group of questions on a topic, and we're digging a little deeper. Now, what you may see is we are pulling in some guests where we will take a look at a topic, and maybe it's a topic that is important for the 2029 code cycle. Maybe it was something that was important for previous code cycles. We're going to take those topics and we'll dig in a little deeper. So what the podcast and what the video, the YouTube channel has to offer is more depth of knowledge than we can get in a text answer. Hopefully that makes a little sense. So what we're trying to do as part of the podcast and as part of the Code Question of the Day YouTube channel is to sit down and say, let's give you some depth, let's give you some knowledge around the various topics in some of these questions. Also, check out the Electrical Contractor magazine, where there is a full page dedicated to the journey that we have in providing that depth of knowledge. So take a look at the Electrical Contractor magazine and take your copy, and you'll see a page in there that has the has a focus on, it's almost like from the archives discussion. So what I've done is I go back and look through older editions of Charlie Trout's Code Question of the Day. And let's say, for example, like I know the one was on islands and peninsulas. I grabbed some questions that came in. We post a couple that are pertinent to the discussion, and then on the right-hand side, I give you some depth, a little bit of the backstory and additional understanding around that topic. Okay, so check that out. You can go over to the website, and if you go back to the website, you will see where you can submit a code question here. You can go look at the archive and search the archive. So this is a tool that I like to use. So basically when you click on that, you'll see where it says search within results, and you can select a specific month or a specific year. So I typically don't, I'm not specific, and I'll just have it go back through all of those. So for instance, I combined both of those words into existence. So for instance, or for example, as an example, if you go to, let me do this. If you type in, islands. If you type in island, it tells you what you've selected, and I have 3 pages of questions that include the word island. There's 2024. It'll start with the newest, and it'll work its way to the, let's go to page 3. And I go all the way back to December 27th of 1999. And in this one, and you'll see where it has the question. Let me just zoom in on this one for you. I have a 4.5 kilowatt cooking top mounted on an island in a kitchen. There's 8 kilowatt wall-mounted oven across from the island. I intend to run 3 8THHN copper conductors protected by a 50 amp circuit breaker to a junction box in the cabinet. So the questions can get kind of detailed, but a lot of times they leave a little bit to the imagination. So to answer the question, it's kind of difficult. Then I'll run a 20 amp tap in the slab from the junction box to feed the island cooking top, and then will it meet the code requirements? And if you want to see the answer to that question, you go to December 27th, and there's your answer. So, and the reason I want to show you this is because if you have a question, either around a specific section of the code or a topic, you can go to these archives and take a look at what some of the answers were. Now keep in mind that if I go back to 1999, I'm not looking at an answer that was developed in light of the 2026 code. That's obvious. So you've got to couch that and keep that in mind. But what you could also do is, if you're looking at the question, you can take that question and reference it, because NECA's code question of the day, secret individual who will be answering that question will basically, they have access to it, and you can say, hey, based upon the question that was posed and answered in the December 26th, 1999 edition of Code Question of the Day, you have a similar situation, and maybe you want to know if the answer changes based upon the 2026 code. I mean, it could be as that simple. Or you could say, look, I have a 50 amp breaker, and instead of number 8s, I'm using a different size conductor. And you'll see it up here. You'll see the question. And probably in the question, if there's a link to an older edition, I'm sure they'll put the link in, and then you'll get your answer. So that's the one of the nice things about the NECA's code question of the day that you might find resourceful. It's a wealth of information. There's a lot of knowledge in the CQD's, the Charlie Trout's code question of the day, his archives. So the archives can be very enlightening. Okay, and then you can obviously submit a code question, and then you have right down here on this side of the business, you've got Code Question of the Day podcast, and this is where you can listen to the latest edition and get access to all of that great information. So you got the archive, you have the About CQD, Code Question of the Day, and there, if you go to About, Code Question of the Day, gives you some of the history and all that jazz. And there, right here, right at the top, you can subscribe to the Code Question of the Day as well. I would highly advise, now when you subscribe, what you will do is get an email on a daily basis with the question of the day. So obviously. Now what I do is I put those code questions sort of in a, I put them in a folder where I can search my own folder. And sometimes I will take that question and share it with others within my organization, because it may pertain directly to a solution that we have, a product that we have, or maybe we've had that question come in from our customers and in various applications. So they're great to have on file, but don't get upset if you accidentally delete it, because you can go to the archive and find it again. And again, searching the archive is a huge resource to the electrical industry. Okay, so I wanted to at least make sure, since I did not have Kyle, I want to make sure we keep a cadence of going live on Thursdays at 12 o'clock. Next Thursday, I will have a recorded session, and I believe it is posted on the Code Question of the Day YouTube site, so don't forget to go check that one out. And I guess that's it. So that's all I had. I hope you have a wonderful day, and I trust that if you have a code question, now you know where to go submit one and get some eyes on it and get just a different perspective. All right, so go check out NECA's Code Question of the Day. EATON is a proud sponsor, and hopefully you will enjoy it as much as I do. All right, until next time, take care, stay safe, and please stay healthy.